My name is Lorrie. I am a food addict, and I'm from Massachusetts. And I am going to be sharing on 6 and 7. Hopefully, I am going to hit the nose on what you would want from me. Step 6 is we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And then step 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. So, so I will say that a lot of my experience that I share today and a lot of my awareness comes from having done the Big Book Step study. So those are my roots. I had done many AWOLs before I went into that, and I resisted it. And then because of my marital situation and my husband's physical health, um, I decided to do this, not because I thought it was a great idea I don't know. I wasn't chomping at the bit to do it. I'll just say that. And so I got in there I finally settled down and got a sponsor and got serious and did the work with on a one-to-one with a Big Book Step Study sponsor. And it is the most life-changing thing that I have done. And I will say, as far as my work with AWOLs, which I did many of them, and I think they have a huge effect on recovery with people. It's just that I don't think I ever gave it my full effort, honestly. So, but in this process, it was a one-to-one with a sponsor, and there was no not giving it your full effort, or you would not be sponsored through it. So that being said, obviously my groundwork is laid for step 6 on the previous 5 steps. And what is my motivation to do that? And my motivation to do that is, well, number one, my goal in being in any 12-step programs is to stay out of my drug. And so that I have to say is my main motivation. And then by the time on step 6, I do have a relationship with God. I maybe should mention that I've been in program for over 48 years. And so my relationship with God continues to grow and change. It's not a status thing. It's not something I've achieved or is in status state. And this is like this step is not a maintenance step, but yet it is. I'm steps. I thought it was just very I thought it was very great that when we were asked to share, it was on 6, 7, and 10. And then, in all honesty, because I do a written inventory every night briefly, I write it out because the sponsor requests me to do that. Um, that writing also is very influential. Not long, it's not a whole long thing. I don't do a full write out on something unless I feel it needs to be, and sometimes it does. It just does. Um, One thing, my sponsor and I were both older women when we did this, and she said, Lorrie, the grooves in our brain are pretty deep, and that it takes a while to fill that groove in, dig it out, and fill it in with new information. So, to, to all um, to all effect, yeah, that's why I'm here. I was looking at my AA 1212. I grew up on the AA literature because there wasn't OA literature. And then when I did the big book, it wasn't at the time active in OA. So that's my literature basis. But it says in step 6, this is where we separate the men from the boys. And this willingness, I can't hover. There's no hovering in this program. Either I'm moving forward or I'm moving backwards. So I need to do this work, or I will insidiously be out the door and not even know I'm going. So that's the truth for me. So practicing uh, uh, in doing this, and what I found for myself, I did not do a formal like list of these are my defects, these are my assets, blah, blah, blah. I didn't do that. My sponsor kind of let go of the hands on when I got to this step. And when I got done with my work with my fifth step, the only character defect that was totally blatant was selfishness. I definitely could see I was riddled with selfishness. And but in all the ways that that manifests itself were not clear to me. So I've heard of many different ways of doing the sixth step, but what I have found for myself, I can choose the character defect that's aggravating me the most, but I'm not always sure that that's number one on my higher powers list. So my endeavors may not be very fruitful because I'm not on the right page. So what I find is for myself is whatever is coming up for me, and it will come up more than once. When God wants my attention, it is not a little bleep on the screen and I don't hear from him again. It's like, no, no, if I'm doing something that involves self-will and not seeking God's will, and it comes very blatant to me, then I see it. I have to see it, and then I know that it's time to do something about it, go to God, write about it, look at it, and ask God for help. I'm not going to do any of this I didn't do any of this by myself. So none of the work, not before, not after, and not now. So of course, I would like complete release. That's what I would like. I would like a complete release from this. And as I read in the literature and have listened to other outside program literature on this step, it's like I'm a work in progress and I make progress. And sometimes I almost think it's gone. I honestly always almost thought it's gone, and then only to find later on it's cropped up again. So I continue to do this work and look at it. It's not all done. It's not a one and done thing for me. And what motivates me is I know even when I was doing my writing and just did the cause and effects, I felt like a bull in a china shop. I really did. And I felt like I was knocking the china all over the place. And I just, I wanted to find out how to stop doing that. And this step six is that beginning, is that how do I become entirely ready to have this removed? And it's my own personal pain, which is one of the great motivators for me. If I think everything's hunky-dory and life is just beautiful, yeah, I'm not going to be working on this. But when I see the damage I do to myself, and the damage to myself is that I see that is that I go into a kind of a darkness. There's more confusion in my life and more confusion in my brain when I am not practicing these steps. And when I have clarity, when my food is clean, and when I'm not full of this confusion and willing to deal with the things that are coming up, I have much more clarity. And I don't live in a dark tunnel. And I don't want to live in a dark tunnel. So so this is where I am at. This is where I'm at. Those are two things that really motivate me. And of course, that desire, never have to go back to that first bite. And what I've learned to know about that first bite is that it's insidious, cunning, and baffling. And it doesn't send me a letter ahead of time. It doesn't send a notice across the sky. It doesn't come banging on my door. It will show up insidiously. And I don't have to worry about it. I really don't. But I do have to do these steps. So the thing is that whenever I am emotionally disturbed, um, that's a signal. That's a signal that something's going on inside of me that I need to take a look at. What I have learned is that I am the common denominator. So when I'm emotionally disturbed, what is it? Is it with myself? Is it with other people or institutions? What I do know, and it was funny, I was looking at step 7 in the AA 12 and 12, and it said, it was funny, I don't know if I jotted it down here on my paper, but I had just looked at it like it's fear. Everything is motivated out of self self-centered fear. So, Lorrie, what are you afraid of? Or sometimes I have learned that it's unhealed. And I don't know whether, I don't think this falls to me under defects or shortcomings or either one, but they're unhealed things inside of me from my childhood or different stages of growing up. And those will just manifest themselves. And because I believe I'm abstinent and clear, eventually, this happened with my sponsor once, the way she spoke to me, I just felt was overly harsh. I actually felt like she was taking a stick and beating me across my shoulder blades. And I had a reaction. There were times when I hung up on her. And then one time I had the reaction and there was a pause. And the voice inside of me said, that that is an inappropriate reaction for what is going on in this situation. In which case, I'm aware that's unhealed stuff inside of me that I need to ask God for help with. I know another time I was driving and I really try to slow down and stop for yellow lights. And but I didn't this day. Every yellow light, and some put me in precarious positions. Well, like five of them. And after I ran the first one, I said, "Oh God, please, I'm sorry, please help me." Well, I ran what? Four more after that. Every time I said, God help me, and I ran four more lights. It was like, what is going on? What is this? My intent was to stop. And when I intended to stop, instead I stepped on the gas. What the heck is that? And it's like, you know, it's like, I can't do this stuff by myself. I can have the desire, and the desire is absolutely necessary. But can I change, Lorrie? Well, not on my own. Not on my own. I have a fellowship. This is a triangle. God on top, me on one side, and my whole program and fellowship on the other. And it's not going to work any other way. And why don't I get completely well? Why don't I get complete release from this? I believe I got complete release from my drug because you can't, God cannot help a dead person. So, and I was killing myself with food. The way I ate was murderous. So, so yeah, that has to be stopped. The drug has to be stopped. But I don't think God means to me to be so clear, so independent, because I guarantee you, my pride and ego will be right in there. Well, what will happen is I won't need God. And you know what? I won't be able to help other people either because I'm going to be so high up on my egotistical pedestal that I won't know what it is to be need God's help and yours. So, we say when we sponsor that I'm helped as much as the sponsee. And even if somebody rejects or heads off the other way or decides not to do something, okay, I still profited. And who knows, maybe down the road for them. So that black hole that's inside of me is a spiritually empty hole which constantly needs to be kept clean. My pipeline between myself and God needs to be kept clean. So I need to be entirely ready to the character defects that I see. I need to, I need to, I need to keep working on them. And they don't go away. They get better. They get better. But if I don't deal with them, if I just say, oh, that was jealousy, God stopped me from being jealous, for me, I have to take a deeper look at them. And this step 6, I put into constant work. To me, it's like a maintenance step for me because of maybe the results that I got after the 5th step. But that's my reality. That's what I have to share with you. That's the truth for me. Um, so, um, and I do have trouble. It talks about, I guess there's a good type of self-righteousness and a not so good, but I can get very self-righteous when it was just a little thing recently, but I was tired. I wasn't feeling well. I was walking my dog and she was pulling and being, not conducive to doing Laurie's will. Let's just put it that way. And I could feel myself wanting to get rough with her. She's little. And it's like, and I thought to myself, Lorrie, whether dog or human, you know, you're not feeling well is not a justification and rationalization for not being loving, tolerant, and kind to whether it's a dog or a human being or somebody on the road. Um, so these are the things that have been revealed to me as I've stayed. Can I be let know how much time I have left, please?
You have, in 2 minutes, you'll have 5 minutes left to go. So you have a 7-minute total
All right, thank you so much, Janice. So
course.
I want to move on to the humility step, which is step 7. And humility is essential, and I don't always realize how important it is for me to humbly be willing to ask for help from my higher power and others. Um, you know, I'm coming from codependency, but that's not the same as dependency, a healthy dependency. And I believe that's what we learn here is healthy dependency on a power greater than ourselves. Please, God, help me not take hostages and have healthy relationships with family members and with my fellowship, my neighbors, my coworkers, whatever it is. That's what I'm looking for. Um, Ego and pride want to crop up all the time. They aren't dead. And I have to be aware of that. You know, um, living by spiritual principles is not, I can't, sitting in a chair, talking in my kitchen, talking to somebody on the phone. Oh, yeah, I get great principles. Get me out into life, and that can be a different story. And when I have fear, a while ago, I pulled into a parking place. I was in a hurry, and I was going to an appointment, and I thought I heard a little scraping when I did, like maybe I affected one of the cars I was pulling in by. And I was in a hurry, so I hopped up. I quickly looked at the other car. I thought, well, I'll check it when I get out. Went into my appointment, came out, and the car was gone. And I thought, well, I'm not sure I did anything. I'm not sure. So I went out later, and I usually back in. I'm older now. I like to pull out of parking places. So I came out. I had white paint on the fender of my car. I thought, oh my God. So this is an appointment that I frequent weekly. I do it weekly. So probably for a month or more, I looked for that car. I just looked for it in the parking lot. And I knew I had to make some sort of amends. If I could have,
5 minutes.
thank you, if I could have done it to that person, I would have. But what was it? Fear. I mean, stuff like this isn't going to increase my insurance. I'm sure that was going through my head. Maybe it's a police report. I mean, all these things. Where were my values? What was it? It was all about Lorrie. So carrying these principles, I'm a human. I'm susceptible to doing things that I'm not proud of, just I'm not proud of. So I talked it over with my sponsor, and my retribution was to make a charitable donation to something that in an amount that I figured would have been the cost to repair the car. So I know that I can have my very best plan. I can come up with the very best plans to correct my character defects. I swear to God, they're really good. I just can't carry them out any more than I could carry out a diet. I couldn't do it. I can't do it on my own. So I believe there'll always be a space there for my higher power and for all of you. Humbly, I have to tell the fifth step. It wasn't just, confess to God, go to confession, do whatever. It isn't. I have to humble myself to my fellow man and go to my higher power humbly and say, I can't do this. I have to ask and think. And that's the way I usually look at, what I'm doing. It's like I usually begin my corrective measures by praising God for making me aware, by thanking him for a solution. I've learned, I'd like to say that, oh, I mean, I heard somebody say, I hate making amends, so I really avoid putting myself in those situations. Well, I know darn right well, my best efforts are not going to keep me out of those situations. And I need to learn how to say I'm wrong. I'm so no, I don't, I try to avoid I'm sorry. I learned that when I say I'm wrong, it's much more humbling for me than to say I'm sorry. Most people are sick and tired of hearing I'm saying sorry. So, I know that I need to keep practicing these because I have a lot more to lose than my dress size today. Um, I have so much more. My relationship with my higher power is the first to go when I start justifying and rationalizing. And I may do that. That may be my first reaction. But I find that eventually, if I stay clean and I do this work, it'll come out. It'll come out in my nightly
1 minute,
routine.
please.
Thank you. It will come out in my spot check inventories, which is 10th step. That's the walking around inventory that gives me my material for my 11th step. To me, they kind of go hand in hand. So, I guess I'll just end there and say the problem rests in my mind. That's the problem. There is a solution in the big book. And that's where the problem is. There's something I have to straighten out my thinking. Those huge emotional blocks that Young was trying to correct in Roland are done by me working these steps. Thank you.